First, I'm going to divide this paper into half. One for the sky, the top, and one for the snow. We're going to see how much we're going to allocate that for the sky, how much we're going to use it for the snow. And you can keep drawing and until you find there's the relationship that you want to keep, or you can change it. Because you're using a pencil, you can feel free to keep changing it. And just focus on how you feel. I'm going to have this exposed grass in here, and I'm going to see this, everything is here is shapes. I can see that there's a shape for those trees right here. I don't need to draw everything, I just need to mark the location of some of their elements. That here there's some dry trees in the background over here. I'm going to keep that a little bit over here, a little bit. There's another piece of grass right here. And let's see, I'm going to have those trees in the background a little bit lower than from the reference. And a little grass over here, let's see. And I had maybe a little piece over here. So I'm going to move this piece of grass, this area, a little bit lower. You can change it and keep thinking about how you feel when you are doing the painting. I know this is could be a little bit too complicated for beginners, but sometimes try something, and if it doesn't work, we're gonna find out how we improve it. Okay, now a little bit over here. I'm not sure. I'm gonna probably this time I'm gonna add a little shape of tree in here too, and also a couple dry trees coming up over here like that. And now I see, I think a little bit empty on this side. I'm gonna move this tree, this whole shape, a little bit more to the left. It's not about copying what you see, something you ignore, something you want to keep as kind of thing. I'm gonna ignore the buildings. I think it's pretty good now. The sky is not white, and the snow is not all white either. It actually have some gray color at the front over here. Now I'm going to use the big brush. Sometimes you use big brush, sometimes small brush. All the old paints over here, I am going to use them. I'm going to add a little blue color in here. I'm going to start from the top. Ready? Paint like that. And look at the reference. And because those tree is darker than the sky color, so you don't need to leave the space for those colors, and just keep painting it down. And lower over here I have a little bit more fresh blue colors. It just put the fresh blue colors, this winter blue colors right here like that. Now that's good. See how easy I filled in the space for this. You see this area is wet, right? If you put in the color here, it will be going around. If you want to have some kind of a little bit more defined shapes, you don't want to do that when it's wet. But if you want something like a really soft transition, in that case, that's perfect. Is that right? Okay, now what I want to do, I'm going to coming down, I'm going to walk into the snow. And the snow is similar to the color over there. So I'm going to look like that, similar. It's kind of maybe a little bit red. I see this some has some more red color in here, even though it's not pure red, but you can see that red and blue, but plus the blue. So I have a little red over here, and starting, see that this color a little bit warmer than the color over there. So it's simple things. I only use the 3 primary colors, so very easy for you to calculate that. And I'm going to use a little bit more fresh blue. There's a little bit more. It's fresher than that colors. I'm going to connect that over here. I only use side of the brush. You see that? Even if it's a big brush, you don't have to use the whole brush every time, right? You can use that a little bit, like the side brush going through over here. Okay. And going through over there. but I want to keep that as a little lighter. So I'm gonna use, even over here, I'm gonna keep a little dry brush. You see that? Only lift it, only barely the tip touch the paper, so you can have the feeling of dry brush. Like that. Keep that over there. I'm gonna also put a little blue color as the shadow in here. That is the shadow, and maybe a little bit warmer, so I get a little bit red color. And when you take the color, just tap on the corner of this. Never actually sculpt the color in the middle. That's too much color for you. And just take a little, and probably add it here, just a little. So I think they almost look like the way that I use a small brush. I just use the corner of the flat brush. You got the idea now? So you use the big brush. You can now soften the edge. I don't want it to be look so harsh. Now continue just with the water, okay? Continue that over like this. This is underneath this big tree. Now I'm gonna doing this work, so waiting for that to dry, so I can go back there to start working on in the tree. But this probably perfect now. I'm gonna working into this area because if a little soft, and that is perfect. Now how I'm gonna mix that a little bit brownish colors. You know, brown color as a gray color. You agree? G-R-A-Y, the gray color. But it's just gray color has, because mixed with the three colors, it have a little bit more red and yellow. It will look a little bit brown. If it's perfectly together in the neutral tone, it's a purely gray color, right? So let's see. I have a little bit more blue, a little bit more red. Now mix it in this, look like a light purple color. I'm gonna need a little more colors than that. I need a little more. Just use the corner, the tip of the brush. Just tap on the corner and get a little bit color in here. Now I'm the yellow. I'm gonna tap a little bit, get a little bit yellow in here. And press a little blue, I will be able to mix the brown colors for you. Now I'm gonna on this side, I use the corner, I tap on here, and now introduce the in. Now this is the brown color. Maybe a little bit more blue. It looks like it's not so warm. So a little bit blue, like this. Look at that. A little bit more red. That I think it's good. Now I'm gonna walk into the trees right here. Now it looks like very much like a gray color. Okay, I'm gonna put it here. And the bottom, I'm gonna have a little sharper edge. Like this. I'm gonna go through. And some color over here too. That is in the background. And now I think I'm gonna change brush. I need to have a little better control. So I'm gonna take this brush and take the same color. Now you're gonna see. I'm gonna use the side way. So what that means, I use the side of the brush and move it. So I'm gonna see. Like that, that's good. I'm going over here have a bit of dry brush. You see that? See a little dry brush coming over here. That's good. Now we're gonna make it a little bit more brown. I do have brown color, but I don't want to use it to confuse you. So I'm gonna keep mixing with these three primary colors. Take a look. I'm gonna have a little bit darker brown colors and mix this color with the blue color, you see. Now it look kind of brown, a little bit more red. It will look more brown, right? That's good. I'm gonna put it like I have a little tree. And everything you paint is not really painting tree. You are painting the shape of a color. That is something is doable. But you cannot reproduce a tree. Can you reproduce a tree with the paper? You can. You pretend. You capture the shapes, right? Okay, now I'm gonna make a little bit more red, make a little darker color. I'm mixing color as when I need the color. No, definitely too much blue. I'm gonna tap that on the side. I'm gonna mix only at the corner over here. You don't want to every time like I'm mixing with all the color together. You're not getting the color that you want, right? So over here, at the bottom over here, I'm gonna make it a little bit darker. Like that. Just tap on it. to let the color merge a little bit. Now I'm going to keep going like that. And on the top over there, what I want to do, I'm going to let go most the wet. And I'm going to make some serious dry brush look. What I want to do over here, that is the dry brush for the tree on the side. I'm gonna just come back to have a little bit of draw of a couple lines, pretend that are the tree branches. Is that cool so far? Now I'm gonna do, this is still wet, so I'm gonna wait a little bit before I work in the dark tree. I'm gonna work on there's something at the front over here. What I want to do here, I'm gonna do this like green brown colors of grasses. I want to have some color over there. I may have to come back, like do it a couple times before I make it to be the way that I really happy about. But let's start it. Now, a little bit warmer, a little bit more yellow, and here you go, I'm getting the color. And I want a little bit fresh, a little bit too dirty, so I'm gonna have this. I may be going to have like a one color on the side and blend into another color. So I make a little bit more yellow. You see that I only mix 3 colors, right? So far, you can get every color you want. It's interesting, huh? What I want to do now, I'm gonna start over here, looking for the shape. How big is that shape? Now I'm gonna make a little fresh color. Now I get a little yellow, get a little bit blue in here. Now the color look more as green colors. Now, good. So I have a little bit more yellow, a little bit more blue. Okay, ready? Like that, one piece of shape. In the middle over here, I have a little snow spot. I'm gonna leave that. So you maybe sometimes think, oh my God, I need white colors. No, the paper is white. If you don't do anything to the paper, it is white. It's how simple as that. Do you have to put the white color? No, you don't have to, right? But sometimes some effect that you do need the special effect with white. That is another matter, but you don't want to do that as a habit, right? So I have this piece of grass like this. I'm going to put another piece over here. I'm moving and coming actually here. There's another piece of grass over there. But I also on this side have a little warmer. So on here, and when it's because this area is still, the whole thing is still wet. So when you have one color, put it next to or in the wet area, their color will merge together. Pretty easy, right? And over here, maybe tap a little warm color in here. And the under there have a little warm color, like a little mulch. So I'm gonna have it make it even a little bit even warmer. I'm gonna have that over here and change the temperature of the color like that. So when we talk about temperature of the color, it's either warm or cool, or very warm, very cool, in the middle. Like that's called temperature. You see that when in summer, when you go to get a drink and you want some cool drink, they usually put that at like blue colors, make you feel cooler. This is what I say. Okay, now I'm gonna also continue putting a few pieces of grass feeling on the snow. I just like to see that this kind of contrast. I have, you know, have white, and on over here, let's continue taking this color for the grass. I'm gonna putting a little shape over here, so you can see the brush. If you press it a little bit more to the paper, it will make it the shape bigger, right? Bigger. You lift it up, it will thinner. And over here, let's continue that color. But over here seems like a little bit disconnected, and just let it to be disconnected. Okay, and maybe on the other side, make a little warmer color. So I see the warmer color over here. So okay, give it a couple line over here. That's good. That is the exposed grass. I think we are doing pretty good with this. Now what we're gonna do, oh wait a minute, there's a little shadow over there. So we can just use a little lighter color. Okay, we're gonna put it here. See, pretty easy. Like that. So you see the snow, and then come down, have the shadow. Okay, now it's all dry. So you see that the painting whole process, you can like plan it on working on one area and then another area and then come back, it's ready for you. Okay, now what we're gonna do, we're gonna make some darker color over here. And this painting is getting more and more in shapes now. Now dark color, what I use is the blue color and the red color together. It become pretty dark. And I want it to have a little bit more greenish, so add a little yellow to it, and maybe a little bit blue. So this is look a little bit more as blue and greenish. But the color is not dark enough. I'm gonna put this red color a little bit in here. So now I'm gonna work in this big shape. Okay, let's see. I've just also used the side brush. So I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna see what kind of accident is gonna come up. Usually accident is a good accident. You always have something surprise come up. You know, you don't know what's gonna come. Okay, let's see. See the shape. Like this. So you can see. So all the trees, they usually have some gaps. So you don't need to paint it like 100% solid, a flat color, right? You don't have to make it all solid. Now, I need to mix a little bit more color. The color looks a little bit too light. And a little bit more blue. Now here you go. A little bit warmer, maybe. Here we go. Now make it the color a little bit darker. The top, keep it a little bit light. It's fine. And the bottom is just a little bit more shadow. Right? Good. Like that. Tap on it. So I'm gonna also have some represent the trunk of the tree, those trees. Okay, that is the shape. Make it look like a tree. Look like trees right here. And maybe the edge over here have a little bit like this. Just to compare the edge and in the background over here, a little bit soft, a little bit unsure, but those edge a little bit more defined, a little bit more contrast, and you can see that create the illusion of the space. That this is a little bit more closer, the other is a little bit farther away. So those are the technique that we create the illusion. Okay, like that. Now I'm gonna work into some dry tree, right? Some dry tree. Let's take a look. I'm gonna make a little brown colors, kind of brown colors, and add a little yellow. Okay, now I'm going to draw the branches, a very, very thin line, and then draw a little slower, okay? Draw a little slower because you draw a little too fast, the line would look too smooth. And the tree branches usually not that smooth. Okay, have a little turn, and your line can get a little bit thicker and coming down. All right, and let's see. I'm gonna have another one over here, like that, and then look at it. Be patient, like that. Okay. Some very thin line. Okay, that I'm gonna finish one part for the bigger branches. So I can do a little bit faster. Okay, you know what I'm doing, so I'm gonna. But look, you see that how often I'm looking at the reference for information. So you don't want to just look at it once and then keep doing anything that you want, and then ended up maybe not really look like the thing that you want to do. Okay, like that. And I'm gonna do one more over here. Okay, some small one. It's kind of like those very small branches. It's difficult to capture, and especially the painting is not that big, right? So I'm gonna try to do that with the dry brush. So I'm gonna let go most of the color. As see, it's pretty dry, right? So I'm gonna do that. Make it look like there's lots of, make it even drier. And here I have some. Okay, a little bit over here. Because it's on the distance, you can suggest it. That is a small thing. So look a little dry. And I have a video, use a technique that the toothpick. Use a toothpick that pick the color and scratching, draw those very thin line on it. But this may be very too small for it. So I'm gonna add a darker tone shape, like a pine tree, other tree next to this. Maybe I'm not gonna make it too big, so I'm gonna have it a little bit right next to here, like that. And that represent. Oh, look at there's another tree over here. And I'm gonna come back here and do something over here, should be a little bit darker. So now I'm gonna see a little bit darker. Okay. Like that, simple. Right? Okay. Now I have this little tone a little bit, so I see a little movement and coming a little curve on the ground, and also use the round brush and make a little bit more contrast, a little sharper on the edge over here, like that. Okay, now I'm gonna come back to here to give a little cast shadow in this space, like that. And I'm gonna give it a little bit suggestions of some trees over here in the back. Yeah, see how this connected. Now I'm gonna give it a little bit darker colors for this shape of these few trees. Okay, now I'm gonna give a little bit darker. See, so that is not gonna look like flat. It looks a little bit more as a better form. It's rounded. Okay. Like that. Okay. Like that. And now I'm gonna take the time to do a little bit thing in the sky. How about that? I'm gonna take this very light color. The sky is far away, so you don't want to have the colors very dark, a big contrast. It will look like pop too much. So I have the very light color. That's good enough. And I'm gonna have it a little bit more like this. So anything you put in the sky, the people would think the first thing react to it is, are they the clouds, right? That's usually the reaction. Over here, I'm going to do a little scratch, whether or not I still can do it with this time. A little bit scratch for this the skiing track. Okay, it's not much. Now I'm gonna give a little shadow suggested, like say over here. A little suggested. Okay, a little, and I'm going to do a little bit of the grass coming up like this. I need to make this area a little bit wet in order to have this scratching technique. A little bit like that first. And when it's wet, and if you scratch the paper, it make it a thin line. Like that. You don't want to make it look they're all kind of too predicted. So that's one of the great technique about watercolor is may be able to lift the color up. So I'm gonna do this over here, the softer, and maybe you can lift up a little color from here. You see this? You use the brush, the tip, and just keep moving, and you can have the line, actually the light color line. Now it's come up. I'm going to soften this area, and also use the water to do the final adjustment. Okay, looks like the painting is almost there. But one more thing I'm going to try to do, it looks like the sky can be a little bit darker. So you can do the final step to mix, to have those all connect together. First in the tree over here, I'm going to use this big brush. I'm going to have the bottom over here actually a little bit connected. It's a little bit too clear. I'm going to have that. It's good. Now I'm going to come into the sky. I want this sky have a little bit darker blue colors. I'm going to add this blue color over there. Now let's take a look. I'm going to make this color a little more. Now in the middle over here, I'm going to have a little red. Alright, I'm going to have it here. Now see, this is a wash that wet in wet. So the color actually can merge together. Okay, I'm squinting my eyes. You see my eyes squinting? Actually, that's just the way I try to find the connection between one color to the other colors. Okay, because the color over here is already dry, so that is fine. They are pretty safe. Okay, big brush can help you to do lots of a great thing. And now I'm going to use just the blue color at the bottom over here. I'm going to have that. And you see, I have these blue colors, the new colors, put it on. It doesn't really affect the color that I already put on. It's just they accumulate together with the colors, right? Because these are translucent watercolor, and they accumulate the color together. Now I'm going to, this a little bit too dark with the new colors. I'm going to let go some of it so you can use the water, just wash it off. So you get a better idea about what watercolor is capable of and what is special. Okay, I'm going to wash some color off like this. And somehow there's the wet pushing that and have some texture. So I'm going to remove that, make it a little smoother, like this. I'm going to let go the excess wet. I'm going to have that, make it a little smoother. If you use a small brush, you cannot even do this. Okay? If you use small brush, so you better have a big brush with you. At the same time, some techniques is you have to use a big brush. You can. Okay, I'm gonna make this softer, like that. So now the sky is get a little bit dimmer, a little darker. That's good. And maybe in the front over here, and over here I want to also have a little blue colors. So at the end, you actually need to do adjustment. So you can make the things like over here, the white color I try to get. I'm gonna add the little darker tone color next to it, and actually you can see the white actually came out because of the surrounding. It is become darker. Okay, like this. A little bit over here too, and maybe over here have a little bit more, a little bit darker in the color. Put over there, it make it dimmer, a little bit darker, tone it down, so like that. And always over here, make it not so light.